July 8, 1961, Lenox Avenue and 125th Street, Harlem. A drunk 23-year-old crashed into Bumpy Johnson's Cadillac, laughed and walked away protected by his father's name. No guns were drawn, no threats were spoken. Within 48 hours, 5 hidden victims surfaced, and $50,000 changed hands. This wasn't revenge, it was strategy. So how did Bumpy turn arrogance into accountability without firing a shot? To understand that night, the story has to go back to the moment the light turned red. July 8, 1961, 11:23 at night. The traffic light at 125th Street and Lenox Avenue cycles red, and the Cadillac sits idling in rain that has just started to fall. Inside, Bumpy Johnson watches the intersection, with the attention of a man who has survived 30 years in a business where inattention gets you buried in unmarked graves. Illinois. Gordon sits in the passenger seat cleaning his fingernails with a pocket knife, the same knife he used 2 weeks ago to open a man's throat in an alley off Amsterdam Avenue when that man made the mistake of thinking he could skim from the numbers operation without consequences. The impact comes hard. Metal crumpling metal. The Cadillac lurches forward. Illinois' knife drops. His hand goes to the .38 revolver under his jacket, the one loaded with hollow points that expand on impact and turn internal organs into soup. Bumpy's jaw tightens. He looks in the rearview mirror at a red Corvette Stingray that just rear-ended them hard enough to bend chrome and crack taillight plastic. They get out. Rain soaks through shirts. The Cadillac's bumper is destroyed. $300 in damage minimum, maybe $500 if the frame is bent. Bumpy stands there calculating cost while Illinois walks around the car looking at the damage with the expression of a man who wants to solve this problem with a claw hammer and a basement that has a drain in the floor. The Corvette's door opens. Out steps a kid, maybe 23, wearing clothes that cost more than funerals for poor people. He reeks of whiskey. Walks with the loose coordination of someone who is drunk enough to hit parked cars but not drunk enough to pass out. This is Michael Strahl. And the first thing Michael Strahl does when he sees 2 black men standing in the rain looking at their damaged vehicle is laugh. Guess I tapped you pretty good. Not sorry, not apologetic, just amused. Like this is entertainment, like other people's property is a joke. Illinois takes a step forward. His hand is inside his jacket now. Bumpy knows what that means. Illinois is deciding whether to put a bullet through this kid's kneecap, right here on Lenox Avenue in the rain where witnesses are scarce and street cameras do not exist yet. Bumpy's hand comes up. Wait. You need to give me your insurance information. Michael laughs again. Insurance. It is just a bumper, old man. Do not make this complicated. You can get that hammered out for $50 at any body shop in this neighborhood. Any body shop in this neighborhood. Bumpy repeats the word slowly. You mean the neighborhood you just insulted while standing on its street after you hit my car while driving drunk. Drunk. Michael's smile gets wider. I had a couple drinks. Big difference. And I barely touched your car. You should see some of the parking jobs around here. This is nothing compared to how you people usually drive. You people. The words land like a slap. Illinois' knife is out again. Not the pocket knife. The other one. The one with a 6-inch blade designed for cutting meat. The one that has opened stomachs and severed fingers and done the kind of work that requires bleach and plastic tarps to clean up properly. He holds it low against his leg where Michael cannot see it, but Bumpy can. The message is clear. One word and this kid bleeds out on the street while rain washes evidence into gutters. Bumpy does not give the word. Not yet. Because something about this interaction feels wrong. Not the insults, not the drunk driving, not the refusal to accept responsibility. All of that is normal for entitled white kids who wander into Harlem thinking their skin color and their father's money make them bulletproof. What feels wrong is the confidence, the complete absence of fear. Michael Strahl is standing in Harlem at 11:30 at night in the rain after hitting a car belonging to a man he does not know, and he is not afraid. That kind of confidence does not come from stupidity alone. It comes from experience, from a history of getting away with things, from knowing that consequences are negotiable when your father has the right connections. I need your insurance information, or we wait for police. Michael's smile disappears. His eyes narrow. You really do not know who you are talking to. Do you? My father is Anthony Strahl. You understand that name. You understand what that means. That means you get back in your broken car and drive away before this becomes a problem you cannot solve. Anthony Strahl. The name registers. Illinois knows it too. His grip on the knife tightens. Anthony Strahl runs loan operations for one of the Italian families. Not a boss, not a capo. Just a mid-level soldier who specializes in breaking legs when people do not pay, and making bodies disappear when breaking legs is not sufficient. The kind of man who has a garage in New Jersey where the floor is concrete with a drain, and the walls are tile that can be hosed down. The kind of man who does not negotiate when his reputation is at stake. And apparently the kind of man who cleans up after his son, who makes phone calls when his son gets in trouble, who ensures that consequences stay theoretical rather than actual, who has built an immunity system around a kid who probably does not deserve it, but has it anyway, because blood is thicker than ethics. Bumpy nods, does not argue, does not threaten, just nods like he understands and accepts the situation. Then he gets back in the Cadillac. Illinois follows confusion and rage fighting for control of his expression, because this is not how things end when someone insults Bumpy Johnson and threatens him with family connections on a Harlem street. Michael Strahl watches them drive away, laughs, gets back in his Corvette and drives off in the opposite direction, probably heading to another bar, probably thinking he just won something, probably telling this story tomorrow to friends who will laugh and confirm that he handled the situation perfectly. He is wrong, but he will not know how wrong until consequences arrive, and consequences are currently sitting in a Cadillac 3 blocks away, while Bumpy Johnson speaks in the calm voice he uses when he is most dangerous. Write down the license plate, write down the time, write down everything about that car and that driver. We are going to find out if tonight was his first time or if this is a pattern. We are going to find out how many people Anthony Strahl has paid off to protect his son. We are going to find out how many victims got nothing while Daddy made problems disappear. And then we are going to collect a debt that is long overdue. Illinois writes in his notebook, with hands that want to be holding a weapon instead. Why did we not handle it right there? Why did we not drag him into an alley and teach him what happens when you disrespect people in this neighborhood? Because breaking his bones solves nothing. His father pays his hospital bills. He recovers. He learns nothing except that Harlem is dangerous, which he already thinks. We are going to do something worse than breaking bones. We are going to break the system that protects him. We are going to make his father choose between his son and his reputation. And when that choice gets made, Michael Strahl is going to learn that immunity is temporary, and consequences are permanent, and some debts get paid in ways that money cannot fix. The Cadillac drives through rain that is now coming down hard enough to make visibility difficult. Inside, 2 men sit in silence that is more dangerous than any threat they could have made at that intersection. Because threats are cheap. Threats are what people use when they do not have real power. Real power is patience. Real power is investigation. Real power is building a case so thorough that the only defense is confession, and the only hope is mercy that may or may not arrive. Arrogance does not start wars immediately. It invites consequences. And consequences, when they are patient and thorough and built on documentation rather than emotion, cannot be avoided by having the right last name or the right connections or the right amount of money in the right accounts. They arrive inevitable and crushing and permanent in ways that violence never achieves, because violence heals but shame and exposure and the collapse of immunity systems last forever. The morning after the collision, Bumpy makes a phone call to a man named Raymond, who runs an auto body shop in the Bronx. Not a legitimate shop. Well, legitimate on paper, legitimate enough to have a business license and pay taxes and maintain the appearance of operating within legal boundaries. But Raymond's real business is not fixing fenders for insurance companies. Raymond's real business is making problems disappear for people who cannot afford to have those problems documented in official records. Raymond answers on the third ring. His voice carries the exhaustion of a man who spent the previous night doing work that requires bleach and industrial solvents to clean up properly. Yeah. This is Bumpy. I need information on a vehicle. Red Corvette Stingray. License plate, Victor Charlie 7329. I need to know if that car has been in your shop or any shop you know about. I need to know when, how often, what kind of damage, who paid, and whether insurance was involved. Raymond does not ask why. Does not request explanation. In his world, when Bumpy Johnson asks for information, you provide that information, and you do it quickly. Because the alternative is having a conversation that involves tire irons and broken kneecaps, and learning that cooperation is cheaper than resistance. Give me an hour. 53 minutes later, Raymond calls back. That Corvette has been in my shop 5 times in the last 2 years. Front-end damage every single time, not major. Just enough to require new bumpers, headlight replacement paintwork. Damage consistent with rear-ending vehicles at moderate speed. The kind of damage you get when you are driving drunk and your reaction time is measured in seconds instead of milliseconds. Who paid? Cash, every time. No insurance claims, no paperwork beyond what I need to keep my business license clean. The driver brings the car and pays in $100 bills, asks me to have it done fast and have it done quiet. I do not ask questions because asking questions is how you end up having problems with people who solve problems violently. Did you keep records, dates, amounts? I keep records on everything. You want me to pull the file. I want you to pull the file and make me a copy. Every repair, every date, every dollar. I want documentation that proves this car has been hitting things regularly and the driver has been paying cash to avoid leaving a paper trail that insurance companies or police might follow. Can you do that? I can have it ready in an hour. Good. Illinois will come pick it up. And Raymond. This conversation never happened. If anyone asks, you have never heard of Bumpy Johnson, and you definitely have never provided information about customers. You understand. I understand. The line goes dead. Bumpy makes a second call. This one to a woman named Clara, who works in the billing department at Harlem Hospital. Clara is 47 years old, has worked at the hospital for 19 years, has access to every medical record and every billing statement and every insurance claim that passes through that building. She also has a son who got into trouble 3 years ago, the kind of trouble that ends with prison sentences and destroyed futures, and Bumpy made that trouble disappear with phone calls and payments to the right people, and now Clara owes a debt that gets paid with information whenever Bumpy needs it. Clara, I need you to search your records for hit-and-run accidents over the last 2 years. Specifically, I need pedestrian injuries, broken bones, emergency room visits, the kind of damage that comes from getting hit by a car and left on the street while the driver speeds away. Can you pull those records? Clara's voice is quiet. She is at work. Cannot speak freely. How far back? 2 years, and I need dates. I am looking for a pattern. I am looking for incidents that might match up with vehicle repairs. I am looking for proof that someone has been hitting people and paying cash to fix his car, while the people he hit got nothing except medical bills they cannot afford. This is going to take time. These records are not organized by type of accident. I have to search manually through discharge summaries and billing codes. How much time? 3 hours, maybe 4. You have 2. Illinois will pick up whatever you find, and Clara, same rules as always. This conversation never happened. If anyone asks, you have never provided information to anyone about anything. Your job stays clean. Your son stays free. Everybody wins as long as everybody stays quiet. I understand. 3 hours later, Illinois returns with 2 manila folders. One from Raymond, one from Clara. Bumpy spreads the contents across his desk. 5 repair invoices from Raymond's shop. 5 medical records from Harlem Hospital. He lines them up chronologically, and the pattern emerges with the clarity of a photograph developing in chemical solution. March 15th, 1959. Corvette repaired. Front bumper replaced. $800 cash. March 16th, 1959. James Cooper admitted to Harlem Hospital. Broken collarbone, hit and run. Driver never identified. Medical bills $14,000, still unpaid. August 3rd, 1959. Corvette repaired. Headlight and bumper, $600 cash. August 3rd, 1959. Linda Washington admitted to Harlem Hospital. Fractured pelvis, hit and run. Driver never identified. Medical bills $9,000, sent to collections. January 12, 1960. Corvette repaired. Front end damage, $1,000 cash. January 12, 1960. Roberto Santos admitted to Harlem Hospital. Shattered ankle, hit and run. Driver never identified. Medical bills $12,000. Family bankrupted. June 8, 1960. Corvette repaired. Bumper and grill, $700 cash. June 8, 1960. Rita Morales admitted to Harlem Hospital. Compound fracture left femur. 3 surgeries. 6 months physical therapy. Hit and run. Driver never identified. Medical bills $18,000. Children nearly put in foster care because mother cannot work. November 22nd, 1960. Corvette repaired. Front end, $900 cash. November 23rd, 1960. Kevin Patterson admitted to Harlem Hospital. Broken ribs and internal injuries. Hit and run. Driver never identified. Medical bills $11,000. Man lost his job while recovering. 5 repairs, 5 victims. 5 times Michael Strahl hit someone and drove away and paid cash to fix his car, while the people he hit got nothing except injuries and bills and the kind of financial ruin that ripples through families for generations. 5 times Anthony Strahl made sure his son's problems disappeared quietly, while the actual victims suffered in silence because nobody with power cared enough to connect the dots. Bumpy looks at the documents spread across his desk, looks at Illinois standing near the door. This is not about a bumper anymore. This is about 5 people who got hit and abandoned. This is about a kid who thinks he can hurt people without consequences because daddy pays to make the evidence disappear. This is about a system that protects the guilty and ignores the victims. We are going to break that system. We are going to make Michael Strahl and his father pay for every single injury. And we are going to make sure this never happens again. Illinois nods. How? We start by paying what Michael should have paid 2 years ago. Every medical bill, every dollar. We pay it all. Then we document it. Then we send that documentation to Anthony Strahl with a bill for $50,000 and a message that says your son has been hitting people and running for 2 years, and I have proof, and I have paid his debts, and now you owe me. And when he pays, we make sure Michael understands that immunity is over, that the next time he hits someone there is no daddy to fix it. There is just consequence. The details of this investigation, the specific sources of information, and the methods used to obtain medical and repair records are reconstructed from accounts of how unofficial investigations operated during that era present here as historical narrative rather than verified documentation. When money covers up, sin data speaks for victims who have been silenced. And sometimes the only justice available is the justice you build yourself from paper trails and phone calls, and the willingness to spend $50,000 to prove a point that some people are worth protecting, even when the system has decided they are not. Over the next 3 days, Bumpy Johnson visits 5 families. He does not send representatives, does not make phone calls, does not handle this through intermediaries. He goes himself, because some things require. Looking people in the eye require the weight of personal commitment rather than the efficiency of delegated responsibility. First is James Cooper, 42 years old, works construction when his collarbone allows it, which is not often since Michael Strahl hit him, while Cooper was crossing 135th Street carrying groceries home. The impact broke his collarbone in 3 places, shattered it so completely that doctors installed a metal plate that aches when it rains and reminds Cooper every single day that someone hit him and drove away, while Cooper faced $14,000 in medical bills that destroyed his credit and forced his family to move to a worse apartment in a worse building where rats are residents, not visitors. Bumpy knocks on Cooper's door at 8 in the morning. Cooper answers wearing a bathrobe that has seen better years, recognizes Bumpy immediately, because everyone in Harlem knows Bumpy Johnson. His face goes careful. When men like Bumpy show up unannounced, it usually means someone made a mistake that needs correcting, or owes money that needs collecting. Mr. Cooper, I am here about the accident, the one where you got hit 2 years ago, and the driver never stopped. I found who did it, and I am paying your medical bills, all of them, $14,000. I am writing a check to Harlem Hospital today, and your debt will be cleared by tomorrow. You do not owe me anything. This is not a loan. This is payment for a debt that should have been paid 2 years ago by the person who hit you. Cooper stares. His mouth opens, but no words come out. Finally, he finds his voice. Why? Why would you do that? Because someone should have done it 2 years ago. Because you got hit and abandoned and left with bills that ruined your life while the person who hit you paid cash to fix his car and went about his business like you did not matter. That was wrong. I am making it right. Second is Linda Washington, 38. Single mother of 4. Got hit while walking home from her night shift at a laundry. Fractured pelvis. Could not work for 8 months. Lost her job. Lost her apartment. Had to move in with her sister in a 1-bedroom that now houses 9 people. Medical bills went to collections. Collections called daily, threatened garnishment, made her life hell that never ends. Bumpy finds her at her sister's apartment. A child answers, maybe 7 years old, eyes too old for 7 because poverty ages children faster than time does. Linda appears, thin, tired. The kind of tired that sleep does not fix because it comes from years of stress. Miss Washington, I am here about your accident, the one from 2 years ago. I found the driver, and I am paying your medical bills, $9,000. The hospital will clear your debt, and the collection agency will stop calling. You do not owe me. This is justice that arrived late but arrived anyway. Linda's legs give out. She sits down hard on the floor, right there in the doorway. Starts crying. Not gentle tears. The kind of crying that comes from carrying weight for so long that when it finally lifts, you do not know how to stand without it. Her sister comes running. The children gather. Bumpy waits until Linda can speak. Why? Why would you do this for me? Because someone should have done it when it happened. Because you got hurt, and the person who hurt you walked away and you paid the price for his mistake. That was wrong. I am fixing it. Third is Roberto Santos, 51, janitor at a high school in the Bronx, got hit crossing the street after his midnight shift ended, shattered ankle, 3 surgeries, still walks with a limp that will never heal. Medical bills $12,000. His family sold everything, sold their car, sold jewelry, sold furniture, still could not pay it all, still owe $4,000 that grows with interest every month. Bumpy visits Santos at the high school during his lunch break. Finds him eating a sandwich in a basement boiler room that smells like industrial cleaner and old steam pipes. Santos sees Bumpy and immediately thinks he is in trouble because men in suits do not visit janitors in boiler rooms to deliver good news. Mr. Santos, 2 years ago you got hit by a car. Driver never stopped. I found him. I am paying your medical bills, $12,000. By tomorrow your debt is 0. You do not owe me anything. This is correction of an injustice. Santos sets down his sandwich. His hands shake. I do not understand. Who are you? Someone who believes that when you get hurt through no fault of your own, the person who hurt you should pay. That did not happen 2 years ago. It is happening now. Fourth is Rita Morales, 34, mother of 3. Got hit while crossing Lenox Avenue carrying groceries. Compound fracture of her left femur. The bone broke through skin. 3 surgeries to repair it. 6 months of physical therapy. Still cannot walk without pain. Still cannot work full-time. Children almost went into foster care because she could not take care of them from a hospital bed. Medical bills, $18,000. She pays $50 a month, which covers interest but never touches principal, which means she will be paying until she dies and possibly her children will inherit it. Bumpy visits Rita at her apartment. She answers the door holding a cane. 3 children peek out from behind her. Rita's face shows immediate fear because visits from men in suits usually mean eviction notices or worse. Miss Morales, I am here about your accident, the hit and run from 2 years ago. I found the driver. I am paying your medical bills, all $18,000. Your debt will be cleared tomorrow. Your children stay with you. Your payments stop. You do not owe me. This is what should have happened 2 years ago, but did not. Rita starts crying before Bumpy finishes speaking. She tries to talk, but cannot get words past the tears. Finally, she manages one question. Why are you doing this? Because someone should have done it 2 years ago. Because you got hurt and the person who hurt you paid to fix his car, but left you to suffer. That was wrong. I am making it right. 5th is Kevin Patterson, 29. Was working 2 jobs to save money for his wedding when Michael Strahl hit him. Broken ribs, internal injuries. Could not work for 4 months. Lost both jobs. Lost his savings. Lost his fiancée who decided she could not marry someone who could not support himself. Medical bills, $11,000. Patterson gave up. Stopped paying. Let it go to collections. Let his credit get ruined. Figures he will never own a home or a car anyway, so what does credit matter? Bumpy finds Patterson working at a warehouse loading trucks. Patterson comes out during his break, cigarette in hand, suspicious. Bumpy delivers the same message. Found the driver. Paying your bills, $11,000. Debt cleared. You owe nothing. Patterson does not cry. Just nods. His jaw tightens. You found who hit me. I found him. What happens to him? He pays, not just your bills, all of them, every person he hit, every debt he created. He pays all of it plus interest. And then he learns that consequences exist even for people who think they are immune to them. Good. By the end of the 3rd day, Bumpy has written checks totaling $50,000. $14,000 for Cooper, $9,000 for Washington, $12,000 for Santos, $18,000 for Morales, $11,000 for Patterson. Each check goes directly to Harlem Hospital with instructions that the debt is paid in full, and the patient is to be contacted immediately with confirmation that collections will stop and credit will be cleared. $50,000 is not enough to undo 2 years of suffering, but it is enough to say that someone saw what happened and decided it mattered. That acknowledgement, that simple recognition that you were wronged, and someone cares enough to make it right is worth more than money. Justice is not revenge. Justice is correction. Justice is taking what was broken and repairing it as well as it can be repaired. Justice is looking at 5 families destroyed by one drunk driver with a rich father and deciding that the destruction ends today. The package arrives at Anthony Strahl's office at 3 in the afternoon. A courier delivers it. Not FedEx or UPS, just a man in a suit who hands it to the receptionist and leaves without waiting for a signature. The package is wrapped in brown paper, no return address, just Anthony's name typed on a label. Anthony is in a meeting with 2 loan officers who owe him gambling debts when his secretary interrupts. She never interrupts meetings unless something requires immediate attention. She hands him the package. Her face says this is not normal mail. Anthony dismisses the loan officers. They leave quickly, because when Anthony Strahl tells you to leave, you leave fast. He unwraps the package alone in his office. Inside are 5 folders. Each folder is thick, each labeled with a name he does not recognize. James Cooper, Linda Washington, Roberto Santos, Rita Morales, Kevin Patterson. He opens the first folder. Inside are medical records, hospital admission forms, photographs of injuries that make him wince. A collarbone shattered so badly the bone fragments look like gravel. X-rays showing metal plates and screws. Billing statements totaling $14,000. And at the bottom, a repair invoice from Raymond's auto shop dated the same day. Red Corvette Stingray. Front bumper replacement. $800 cash. Anthony opens the second folder. Same structure, different victim. Fractured pelvis. $9,000 in medical bills. Auto shop invoice dated the same day. Same car. $600 cash. He does not need to open the other 3 folders to understand what he is looking at. But he opens them anyway. Third folder. Shattered ankle. $12,000. Fourth folder. Compound fracture. $18,000. Fifth folder. Broken ribs and internal injuries. $11,000. 5 victims. 5 hospital visits. 5 repair invoices. All matching dates. All the same car. All paid in cash to avoid insurance claims that would create paper trails. $64,000 in medical bills that 5 families could not pay. $4,000 in auto repairs that got paid immediately without questions. The math is simple. The pattern is undeniable. Michael has been hitting people and running for 2 years, and Anthony has been paying to fix the car while the victim suffered. At the bottom of the last folder is a letter. Typed. Professional. No signature, but Anthony knows who sent it. Mr. Strahl, your son has been hitting pedestrians and fleeing the scene for 2 years. I have documented 5 incidents, 5 victims, $64,000 in medical bills that went unpaid while you paid cash to repair his vehicle and erase evidence. I have now paid those medical bills on your son's behalf. The total is $50,000. You have 7 days to reimburse me. If payment does not arrive, these files go to the police, the newspapers, and every business associate you have in this city. Your son does not just owe money. He owes accountability. 7 days. Anthony reads the letter 3 times. His hands do not shake because he has spent 30 years in a business where showing fear gets you killed. But inside, something cold is spreading through his chest. Because this is not a shakedown. This is someone who spent $50,000 of their own money to prove a point. And people who spend $50,000 to prove points are not negotiating. They are declaring war. He picks up his phone. Dials Michael's number. Michael answers on the 3rd ring. Sounds drunk or hungover. Yeah. Get to my office now. I am busy. Can this wait? No. Get here in the next hour, or I will come find you myself. And if I have to come find you, this conversation will be much worse. Michael hears something in his father's voice he has not heard before. Fear mixed with rage. What happened? What happened is that I just received documentation proving you have been hitting people with your car for 2 years. What happened is that someone just spent $50,000 to document your crimes and is now demanding I pay them back. What happened is that you are about to explain to me how 5 people ended up in the hospital while you got your car fixed and thought nobody would notice. Get here. Now. The line goes dead. Michael sits in his apartment staring at the phone. His hands start shaking. For the first time in his life, he understands that his father cannot fix this. That money cannot fix this. That the immunity he has enjoyed for 23 years just ended with a phone call. 40 minutes later, Michael walks into his father's office. Anthony is sitting behind his desk. The 5 folders are spread out like evidence at a trial. He does not look up when Michael enters, just gestures at a chair. Michael sits. The silence stretches. Finally, Anthony speaks. His voice is quiet, the kind of quiet that is more dangerous than shouting. You have been hitting people, not just bumping into cars. Hitting people. Human beings. And you have been driving away and letting me pay to fix your car while those people went to hospitals and got bills they could not pay. How many times? Michael tries to lie. It was accidents. I was not trying to hit anyone. It just happened sometimes when I was driving home from bars. I would feel a bump, but I thought maybe I hit a pothole. You thought you hit a pothole? Anthony repeats the words like they taste bad. You felt a bump hard enough to damage your car, and you thought it was a pothole. You brought your car to me 5 times in 2 years with front-end damage, and you told me it was just parking accidents, and I believed you because you are my son. And now I am sitting here looking at photographs of a woman whose leg bone came through her skin, and medical bills that ruined 5 families. And I am realizing that every time I paid to fix your car, I was participating in something that makes me want to break every finger in your hands. Michael goes pale. Dad, I did not know. I mean, I knew I hit something, but I did not know it was that bad. I would have stopped. You would have what you would have taken responsibility. You have never faced consequences in your entire life. Every time you made a mistake, I fixed it. Every time you got in trouble, I made it disappear. I thought I was protecting you. What I actually did was create a monster who thinks he can hurt people without repercussions. And now someone has sent me a bill for $50,000 and a deadline of 7 days. And if I do not pay, your life is over. My reputation is over. Everything I built is over. Because you could not stop drinking and driving. What are we going to do? Anthony looks at his son, really looks at him for the first time in years, sees not a man but a child who never grew up because growing up requires learning that actions have consequences. And Michael has never learned that because Anthony made sure consequences never arrived. And now they are arriving with interest. We are going to pay. And then you are going to apologize. Not to me. To every single person you hit. You are going to look them in the eye and tell them what you did, and that you are sorry. And I am never fixing another problem for you. Ever. Because fixing your problems is what created this situation. This ends today. Michael's face goes white. You want me to apologize to them? They are just... Anthony's hand slams down on the desk so hard the folders jump. Finish that sentence and I will throw you through that window. They are just people whose lives you destroyed. Just families you bankrupted. Just human beings who suffered while you drove away laughing. You finish that sentence and you will learn what it feels like when I stop protecting you and start treating you the way you deserve to be treated. Michael's mouth closes. He sits there in silence, understanding for the first time that immunity is over. That the system that protected him just collapsed. That consequences have arrived and they are not negotiable. Covering up is not protection. Covering up is delayed violence. Every time Anthony paid to fix that car without asking questions, he guaranteed that the next victim would suffer in silence. Every time he made a problem disappear for his son, he ensured more problems would appear. The bill has come due, and it is higher than money can measure. 6 days after the package arrives, Anthony Strahl calls the number in the letter. A meeting gets scheduled. 9 o'clock at night. A restaurant in neutral territory. Not Harlem, not Little Italy, somewhere in between where neither man has advantage. Bumpy arrives first, sits at a table in the back, orders coffee he does not drink. Anthony arrives at 9 exactly, walks to the table, sits down, places a briefcase on the table, opens it. Inside is a check. $50,000 made out to Bumpy Johnson. He slides it across. There, paid in full. We are done. Bumpy does not touch the check, does not look at it, just keeps his eyes on Anthony. This is not about money. If this was about money, I would have come to you first and negotiated. But I did not come to you first. I went to the victims, paid their bills, made them whole. Then I came to you with a bill you could not negotiate. You know why? Anthony says nothing, waits for Bumpy to finish. Because this is education. Your son has been hitting people and running for 2 years because he thinks consequences do not apply to him. He thinks that because you make consequences disappear. Every time you paid cash to fix his car without asking what he hit, You taught him that immunity is real, that he can hurt people and walk away. And for 2 years that worked. Until it stopped. Until someone documented what he did. I brought the money. That is what you asked for. The money pays the debt to the victims. Now we discuss the debt to the future, the debt that prevents this from happening again. Anthony's jaw tightens. What do you want? I want Michael to apologize. Not to me. To every single person he hit. I want him to look James Cooper in the eye and apologize for breaking his collarbone. I want him to look Linda Washington in the eye and apologize for fracturing her pelvis. I want him to look Roberto Santos in the eye and apologize for shattering his ankle. I want him to look Rita Morales in the eye and apologize for breaking her leg. I want him to look Kevin Patterson in the eye and apologize for breaking his ribs. 5 apologies delivered in person with you standing there watching. And if I refuse, then the files go to the police tomorrow morning, and the newspapers tomorrow afternoon, and every business associate you have tomorrow evening. Your reputation is over. Your son goes to prison, and I keep my $50,000 because the victims are already paid. So you can refuse. But refusing costs you everything while giving me nothing. Anthony calculates whether there is a way out, calculates whether he can make Bumpy disappear, calculates whether starting a war is worth it. He reaches the same conclusion everyone reaches. The cost is too high. The smart play is surrender. Fine. Michael apologizes. When? Starting tomorrow. 1 apology per day. 5 days. 5 families. You and Michael show up at the address I give you. Michael says what he did, and that he is sorry. You stand there and watch and say nothing. When all 5 apologies are delivered, the debt is paid. Michael stays sober, stays away from Harlem. You stop fixing his problems. Do that and we never speak again. Break that and I come back with something worse. Anthony takes the check, puts it back in the briefcase, stands. He will apologize, all 5. Good. Because this is not punishment, this is education. Your son needs to understand that the people he hurt are not abstractions. They are human beings with names and faces and families. He needs to feel that, needs to carry that. That is the only way he learns. Over the next 5 days, Michael Strahl delivers 5 apologies. Each one is harder than the last. James Cooper does not accept the apology. Just listens and closes the door. Linda Washington cries and asks why he did not stop. Michael has no answer. Roberto Santos spits at his feet. Rita Morales makes him look at her children and asks if he understands what almost happened. Kevin Patterson punches him in the face, breaks his nose. Anthony starts to intervene. Bumpy's hand on his shoulder stops him. Michael takes the punch, takes the lesson. Walks away with tissue pressed to his face and shame pressed to his soul. 2 weeks later, Michael checks himself into a facility that treats alcoholism. Stays for 90 days. Comes out sober. Stays sober. Gets a job that does not involve his father's connections. Starts over. 7 years later, in 1968, when Bumpy Johnson dies, Anthony Strahl attends the funeral. Brings Michael with him. They stand in the back. Do not speak. Just pay respects to a man who could have ruined them and chose education instead. Chose to teach rather than destroy. Chose to make consequences real. Responsibility does not punish. Responsibility educates. And education, when delivered properly, changes people in ways that punishment never achieves. July 7, 1968. Bumpy Johnson collapses at Wells Restaurant on 145th Street. Heart attack. Final. He dies at 62, surrounded by friends instead of in a prison cell or a back alley with a bullet through his skull. The funeral draws hundreds. Anthony Strahl attends, stands in the back with Michael. They do not speak to anyone, just stand there, paying respects to a man who could have ruined them with 5 folders but chose education instead. Anthony has spent 7 years thinking about what it means that Bumpy spent $50,000 to prove a point when he could have spent $500 to make both of them disappear. Michael is sober now. 7 years without alcohol. Works as a counselor helping teenagers with substance abuse problems. Tells them about the 5 people he hit, about the lives he ruined, about standing in doorways apologizing to people who had every right to kill him. Tells them that immunity is an illusion and consequences are real. Some kids listen, some change, some avoid becoming who Michael was at 23. The 5 victims live out their lives. James Cooper dies at 63 from complications that never healed. Linda Washington raises her 4 children, dies at 71 with all debt cleared. Roberto Santos dies at 68 ankle hurting until the end. Kevin Patterson dies at 54 alone in a studio apartment. Rita Morales lives longest, makes it to 72. Raises 3 children successfully. When she dies in 2003, her funeral is paid for by Michael Strahl. He does not attend because her children made it clear he is not welcome, but he pays. Sends a check with a note that says, "This does not erase what I did, but I hope it helps." The children cash the check. Do not respond. Michael files the canceled check in a folder that contains copies of the 5 apologies and receipts for every payment since. A folder that reminds him, consequences do not end. The story told in Harlem is not about violence. It is about what power looks like when violence is not an option. Bumpy could have killed Michael, could have made Anthony watch his son bleed out in a basement. Instead, he did something harder. He documented crimes, paid debts, forced accountability, made a father face what his son did, and made a son face the people he hurt. He made immunity collapse under evidence and empathy. That is power. Not the power from guns or willingness to commit violence. The power from understanding that changing a system requires changing the people in it, that changing people requires making them see what they have done and who they have hurt. That seeing requires being forced to look. Real power does not come from violence. It comes from intelligence and the ability to force truth to be seen directly. To make immunity collapse not through threats but through documentation. To make consequences real not through punishment but through education. That is the lesson Bumpy Johnson taught in 1961. That is the lesson Michael Strahl learned over 7 years. Power without accountability is just violence waiting to happen. But education, when delivered with patience and documentation, creates change that lasts longer than any bullet ever could. This story is shared for historical insight and personal reflection, not to promote violence or illegal behavior. Thank you for watching until the end. These stories take weeks of research and writing to create. If this resonated with you, if you see the lesson Bumpy Johnson was teaching about accountability and education over violence, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 1 million subscribers so we can keep telling stories that matter. Stories about power used wisely. Stories about consequences faced honestly. Stories about men who chose to change systems instead of just destroying enemies. Next video drops soon. Until then, remember, real power is not what you can destroy. It is what you choose to build.